Hello, and welcome to a special bonus episode of Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda, hosted by Lisa Gillan. That's me, just for today. I'm going to be talking about the song At Peace from the band's 2025 album of the same name. And before I get into it, I just thought I'd give a little bit of background about myself and elements of my life that relate to the song and how I came to know the band's music. So I'm a millennial in the truest sense of the word. I started grade 9 in the year 2000. I was in my first few weeks of grade 10 when September 11th, 2001 happened. And that kind of led me on a quest to figure out why people could be so upset with the United States that the events of that day would occur. Like, what led to that? I was also getting into fast-paced music even before that time. I think from the time I was maybe even 12 years old, from like video games that my sister and I would rent at the movie place, and watching Much Music late at night with the punk show. And from there, of course, because it was the era of Napster and Audio Galaxy and those things, you find one kind of band like that, and then from the video games or whatever, and then you find more similar artists. And through that, I discovered propaganda. And then, of course, they were singing about things that related to now all of these questions that I had about the world, and also leading me to have more questions about the world and look into more things. So they were very, much a part of my kind of formative years in terms of who I would become. Also, while I was in high school, I did take a course on world religions. So I was raised from age 6 to 16 in an Anglican Christian church. And in this world religions class in high school, we kind of looked at how similar a number of religions are to Christianity. But then we also looked at different types of ways of seeing and experiencing the world, including Buddhism, which really piqued my interest. So in about grade 11, I became interested in Buddhism and started reading up on that even more than what was in that course that I took. And from there, kind of started getting into meditation and things like that a little bit. Then in university, I went to school. I ended up going to school and getting a bachelor's degree in environmental studies with a focus on environmental politics. But I actually started in political science, aiming for a degree in social and political thought. So a number of my courses were not just political science, but also more the philosophical side of things, like a deeper dive into how different political ideologies may have come to be and like the more formative thought processes that may have led to them, I guess you could say. And so all of that kind of leads into how I relate to this song, At Peace. I'd also definitely have to say that the reason that I went into studying environmental politics or any politics at all was largely in part because of the influence of propaganda's music on my life. So it's all very connected. And I'm also taking a course to become a meditation teacher. So I am really into meditation and stuff. But I haven't completed the course. It's one of those like study at your own pace kind of things. And I've dabbled in and out of it over a while now, but I always have multiple things on the go. So one day I'll finish it. But anyway, all of that to say, I'm not like super qualified to talk about these things by any like doctoral standard. I'm just an interested person. These are things that align with my interests that I think relate to the song. So that's where I'm coming from. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so first off, one of the reasons, if not the main reason, that I think I relate to this song so much and would pick it as probably my favorite off the album at the moment, but I always hesitate to pick favorites because it oscillates. But anyway, one of the things that makes me feel most connected to this song is that in one of my philosophical classes in university, of course, we talked about Freud, and we talked about the id, ego, and superego. Basically, for anyone who needs a refresher, who may not be familiar with Freud's concepts, the id is like the unconscious part of your brain that just wants things. It wants things. It doesn't care about how it impacts anybody else. It's just got desire, and it pushes you to chase those things that you desire. That's the id, essentially. But one of the things that I remember that stuck out to me that I adopted as like a life, an approach to life, let's say, is that this whole thought that happiness is not static. Happiness is the immediate fulfillment of id impulses. And so striving for happiness is chaos. Striving for happiness is like you will never be satisfied because you can't be in a constant state of gratification. You can't be in a constant state of satisfying those id impulses. So what then should you strive for? Well, being at peace, right? Peace is a state that can be sustained. That doesn't mean you can't have happy moments interspersed throughout life. But if your whole goal is to have a happy life, you will not ever be satisfied. So I've based so many of my life decisions since university on this concept of will this decision ultimately bring me peace? And that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be something that I sustain throughout my life of whatever that decision leads me to. But will I look back and think, oh, I should have done this. Oh, I wish I hadn't done that. Will I think, this decision hurt someone, but I don't care? No, I don't want that because I want to be at peace. So it kind of made me anyway, delve into my consciousness and really consider every action that I take, is this going to be something that leads me to be struggling with inner demons for the rest of my life? Or is it something that's going to leave me with a sense of I made the best decision that I could at the time with the information that I had kind of approach? Might have been through my readings of some Buddhist books. Because to me, the answer was obvious. The answer was peace. Instead of striving for a life of happiness, you should strive for a life of peace. And that is something that I've carried with me ever since those days. So how do you get to do that? What does that mean for you? It probably means something different for everyone, or it could. But there's probably some common themes that most people can relate to. But again, how you get there kind of depends on what influences you've had in your life already. So one thing that Buddhism helped me understand was that the concept of, all life is suffering. That's one of the core principles of Buddhism. You accept that. And once you accept it, you're not fighting it. So already that's kind of more peaceful, right? Because you're not trying to change something that's not changeable. There are things in life that are going to hurt. Life is a struggle. All life is suffering. But so once you accept that, it allows space for the beauty of life to come through as well. In so many ways. But that principle that I, picked up from Buddhism helped me understand how to have a life of peace, at least one that I felt at peace with. where it was like, okay, this bad thing has happened, bad things are going to happen. And then I kind of do a deep dive into like, well, what could I have done to prevent this? How could I have known to do something to prevent that? And if all of those answers are, you couldn't have known, you did the best you could, then I can accept it and be at peace. I think what becomes stronger than that is, and something that I did adopt is like it's like that cliche of why cry over spilled milk, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what led to it. It doesn't matter what you could have done differently. It happened. The thing happened. You have to pick up from where you are. So that to me is like a stronger understanding of how to be at peace. You're just like, things happen. This happened. And as soon as you accept it, rather than trying to deny that it happened or think how you could have prevented it, because it doesn't make a difference now. As soon as you accept that it happened, a sense of peace can come to you. It might not put you completely at peace, but I think it eases the burden. So let's get into the lyrics a bit. So the first verse, I guess. Yeah, the first verse, it goes, hedge every bet, lick every boot, make every appeal, prostrate yourself to the killing machine to spare yourself from its wheels. Better them than me rolls so seductively off your tongue, your reckoning has begun. Okay, so it's a sense of like, do what you can to take care of yourself, to make sure that your life is okay, that you're doing okay. That's the sense that I get from that whole collection of words, phrases. And that the key phrase, I believe, to me anyway, is better them than me rolls so seductively off your tongue. That's like the well-meaning members of your family who are like, or I don't know, gurus of wellness that tell you, if you're upset at what's on the news, stop watching the news. But that, and that can be enough for some people to feel at peace, I guess, right? You just don't look at it. You don't pay attention to it. It's not happening to you. It's not your problem. So why make it your problem? That's the sentiment behind that line, and that's the sentiment behind people who are telling you, turn off the news and you'll have a better life. Like, maybe, but it's up to you if you can be at peace with that or not, if you can accept that or not. And maybe there is some wisdom in that, because maybe there is nothing you can do about it. So what does sitting there dwelling on something you can't fix do? How does that bring you or the world anything better? I had a boyfriend once who loved to quote a movie. I forget what movie. I think it's Grandma's Boy or something. And he would always say to me, worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. And again, it's like, well, you're like kind of right. If all I'm going to do is worry and not do anything about it, then you're right. What's the point? But to me, worrying is part of the process of figuring out what to do about it. So if you think about it, if you engage with it, if you watch the news, if you worry, at least you can process, like, is there anything that I can do about it? And if the answer is no, then you're right, he's right, whatever. I guess let it go. But if there is something you can do about it and you're not doing it, to me, that's where things start to unravel. And then you have an option. You can take steps to do things towards fixing whatever the issue is, or you can sit in this state of unhappiness and unease and not being at peace with yourself because you know that you could or should be doing something differently. And I guess the difference is, to stay with the spilled milk cliche, at what stage in the process are you? Are you picking up after the milk's been spilled? Like, are you just watching it spill and it's still spilling and you're just sitting there staring at it spilling when you could be doing something? Or are you watching the actions before it spills, saying, if I don't do something, that's gonna spill. Like, your cat's about to knock it off the counter or something, and if you don't stop them, you know you're gonna have a mess to clean up. So part of it, to me, is figuring out where in the process of mess or disaster are you? How far along are things, and is it worth it to put in energy to fix it? But this whole better them than me line, it's actually so frustrating too, right? Because it's like, okay, so I'm struggling and some wellness guru or whoever is telling me I can solve my problems by not paying attention to other people's problems, right? Essentially. And in some cases, maybe there is truth and benefit to that. But then you have to decide what kind of person you want to be, or what kind of person you are. I think we all know the members of propaganda are not people that would be satisfied only caring about themselves, because their whole musical catalog is about caring for other beings, right? I mean, it's threaded throughout all of their albums. And something I think of when I think about this kind of whole thing is, so when I was, again, in university studying environmental studies, I was around a bunch of people that cared about other living beings, that cared about each other, other people, other animals. Like, probably the biggest faculty of vegetarians and vegans in any university campus are going to be the ones in an environmental studies program. So I was in school surrounded by this great community of like empathetic, caring, sympathetic people. And then there's also the tie-in to like the natural elements, natural taking care of yourself, like using products, that you wouldn't find at a big box store. There's not the overlap that I expected fully. It's more people who are focused on what is good for them. So natural remedies because it's good for them as individuals, not necessarily if the processing is actually ethical, if all the ingredients in those supplements is actually ethical. Like, I thought that would be part of it, but it wasn't. And that shocked me, actually. It was like, that was my introduction, I guess, to the wellness movement that was so individualized, like so focused on you, yourself, your own well-being, your own healing, apart from how it affects other systems and other living beings. So that was actually a shock to me. Like, more mainstream wellness, especially at the time, sure, like, you're focused on whatever you need, like medicine-wise, whatever you'd get at the drugstore, normal, whatever. But I really thought, like, okay, so how can I extend this community? Where can I find like-minded people outside of my university program? And I thought they'd be the wellness people, but then I realized that that's not necessarily true. And while there is for sure some overlap, some of those people are like very caring people. They care about the processes. They care about how or whether things are done ethically. But others are this group of, well, better them than me. Like, it's beneficial to me. So that's just the price of it, I guess. Or, like, I'm talking mostly about practices that impact animals here. So, like, I was surprised that, health conscious people, for example, might be super into like fish oils and cod liver oils, because I was like, well, what about the animal aspect of it? What about the harm, the pain, the death to the fish? Like, I just thought naively that these people would care about those things as well. And part of the wellness community too, that I am really drawn to and always kind of have been, especially since getting, familiar with Buddhism, but also even when I was going to a Christian church, I went to a Christian summer camp a few summers, I think 3 times. It was like a 4-day camp over the August long weekend that we have in Canada. One of the things we did there was a guided meditation, and it was I think this was the first time I'd ever done a meditation, and like I said, it was guided, and so they walk you through a whole scenario, and it's meant to like relax your brain and help you visualize things and just get, shut off the parts of your brain that are maybe overactive and just get you focused in a peaceful way. So I really, really connected with that the first time that I ever did a meditation, regardless of the, religious aspect of where that particular meditation was coming from. I think it was just like, maybe you were walking with Jesus and telling him your problems or something. I don't know. But it wasn't like overly, religious in any sense other than connecting with yourself and then having someone or something to talk about your issues with, I think. Anyway, so that was my first experience with meditation, and then I got into it a bit more through Buddhism, and I read a book some of you may be familiar with called Hardcore Zen, which was by a hardcore musician who also is into Zen Buddhism, named Brad Warner. And I remember from that book, one of the meditation styles he talked about was just like sitting and staring at a blank wall. And you just, every time your mind wanders, you bring it back to that blank wall. And I was like, no, not for me, thanks. So there's different styles of meditation that work for different people. He found benefit from that. I don't have the patience for that. I don't have the brain that would appreciate that, because I think I need a distraction in my meditation. So whether that's like through music, singing bowls. I love singing bowls for meditation. I'll even go online and just find like meditation videos and it's just music. So it doesn't work for me, but it works for him. Great. So anyway, different styles of meditation. So I really connect with that aspect of the wellness community. But funny enough, one of the, I guess, leaders of that community that I've been introduced to actually came at a time in my life when I was going through a really challenging time. I was experiencing some scary things. People in my life have been experiencing some scary things, and I took that on. So what was impacting people that I was close to in my life was impacting me greatly. And then I was also in a bit of a scary situation where I was having a hard time eating and sleeping because of anxiety to do with something else that I won't get into. But anyway, all of that to say, I needed help getting my mind back on track, back in order, back my nervous system really back to a state of like being able to function in the world. And at that time, somebody gave me an Eckhart Tolle meditation CD and told me to put it on. And I tried it, and it was a guided meditation. So I was like, cool. love that. But once I started it, he started talking about how I was supposed to visualize myself as a mountain, and there was a storm, and the snow was coming in, and it was, all around me, and I was just a mountain, and I was sitting in the storm. And I freaking hated it because I was like, I don't want to be in this storm. I want to be inside the cave, inside the mountain, covered under a warm, fuzzy blanket with wolves guarding the door, protecting me. I don't want to be the mountain. I want to be hidden inside of it somewhere where it's safe and warm. I don't want to be in the snowstorm. I want safety and comfort. So at that time in my life, when I was going through trauma, that did not bring me peace, right? And I think what I relate that to in this whole concept is kind of is it my job to make peace with the storm? Or does it make more sense for me to find a safer environment for myself, but a place where, not only am I not being impacted, but no one's being impacted. I'm safe inside the cave. My wolf friends are safe inside the cave with me. We're going to take care of each other, It's great. It's not being out in the storm and just saying, it doesn't matter what you do to me. It doesn't matter what's thrown at me. I'm okay. Because I don't relate to that. And one thing that I've read that Chris has said about kind of where he's at is like finding this balance between an Eckhart Tolle approach to life and like that of kind of the Unabomber and, doing something big about the things that you're unhappy with. And like my take is at that time was to swing the other way and like not make peace with it, but also I wasn't ready to confront it. So at that time I needed rest and I needed to hide away from it. But that was because like as much as like Eckhart Tolle's whole thing is like the power of now, accept what's happening in this moment. Sometimes what's happening is so bad that it's okay that you don't accept it because it's actually really bad. And that's the difference between the people, I think, who say, don't look at the news versus I'm not okay with what's happening in the news, and that's the problem. Not that I'm seeing it, but that it's happening. So yeah, hiding myself away in the cave might have been not seeing what's happening, but that's because of this whole element of what can I do about it? Because I think one of the most frustrating things is when you feel helpless, but injustice is happening, bad things are happening, scary things are happening. So what can I do about it? Is the answer nothing? Is the answer I need a break? I need to rest and then deal with it? For me at that time when I was going through the trauma, that was the answer, was that it's not that I can't deal with a snowstorm. It's that I can't deal with it right now because I am tapped out from dealing with trauma and drama in a constant state, and I just need a safe place to rest for a little while. And I think one of the things that I struggle with that, and that others probably do too, is this feeling of like, but do I deserve that rest? Am I allowed to take these moments to myself in the midst of whatever bad thing is going on when other people are suffering and struggling? Like, how do you come to terms with that too? And it's recognizing that, yes, if you can take some moments and you need to, like, that is okay. And so I don't see that as the better them than me approach. I see that as I am sad and mad and hurt for what's happening to everyone, and I feel powerless, so I need a break, but I'm going to come back and I'm going to shovel this snow, shovel a path through this snow, or whatever the case may be. Share my blanket with the other people that need it, bring them into my cave in the mountain. And, that's the difference, I think. But yeah. And then right into the next verse or group of words, whatever, collection of thoughts. Chris says, in spite of endless war, extinction level events, depredation, and plague, every one of your ancestors survived to reproductive age. The probability that you are even here is next to none. Hey, no pressure, everyone. And it's true. Of course it's true. Of course it's true. I think about that a lot. It's like, yeah, how lucky are we to have survived the plague, to have survived polio, to have survived all of these things that have happened in the world. And yeah, wars, we've all had family members, ancestors in wars. And we were lucky enough that our parents and their parents survived all of these things. It's the miracle of life, right? To be able to be here in this moment. So many things had to go right. And here we are. And what are we doing with it? What are we doing with it? This magical, amazing fact that we made it out of all of the people that didn't, out of all of the sperms that didn't fertilize the egg, we made it. And all of the eggs that didn't get fertilized, I guess you could say too. So yeah, that is big pressure, and it should be big pressure, and it should motivate us to have meaning in our lives. And then already we're seeing this kind of, question of, okay, we want peace or do we want meaning? And are the two mutually exclusive? Do we want to just focus on what it takes for us to have a good day? Whether that means making sure everyone has a good day or not? Or do we just want to focus on if we ourself as an individual is going to be okay? Because, hey, look at all these people have already fallen to disease and war and everything else. So I just got to take care of myself so that doesn't happen to me. But this last line of, hey, no pressure, everyone. It's like, how can you look at your life and just think that meditating and finding your peace is enough? But at the same time, it is enough to just exist. Like that's the whole thing that people teach in wellness, to help you get over, badgering yourself for not doing enough. Like it's okay if today you just made it through the day. And that's true. That is true. But it's like, what are the factors that are causing you to feel like that's all you can do with your life? Why is it that after, your ancestors survived all of these things and you made it here and here you are? Why is it that all you can do is breathe? And then at the same time, from the meditation side of things, it's like, well, yeah, I'm breathing, but I am looking currently out the window at a whole bunch of beautiful trees that have been here for so long. And I am looking at a beautiful sky. Okay, not today because it's filled with wildfire smoke, but often I have a beautiful sky full of beautiful clouds, and I see, birds flying by and flowers in the grass when I walk my dog, and I have my dog here, and the two of us can just exist together, and that is enough sometimes. But the problem I have with it is, and the problem I think Chris has with it, and the problem that most propaganda fans probably have with it, is that if everyone can't have those moments, if not everyone is able to sit and enjoy and take in the beauty of the good parts of the world and life, and the fact that it's a miracle that we all exist in it, if that same privilege is not extended to everyone, how can those of us who have it actually be okay with being the only ones that have it? How can we be at peace with that? But then the next part of the song gets right into that whole individualization piece of life that we all do struggle with to some degree or other, maybe others more so than some, but the lines are, when shit got dark, I had to face it alone. There'd be no crying for help. It's just how I'm wired. I've had to figure shit out my whole life by myself. I ain't saying it's cool. It's fucked up. Truth be told, it's cost me a few friends, but sometimes you must protect yourself. So, yeah, like, absolutely. And I don't know about you guys, but I have definitely gone through a lot of stuff alone. I've had to face a lot of things alone. And it does make you feel resilient, and it does show you the value of, taking those moments to just not think about what's going on in the world, to just take some moments to yourself to find that peace for yourself. Again, whether that's so that you can then bring yourself to face things to help other people later on. You need that rest. Once you get that rest, you're going to be able to pick up the torch again and keep fighting the good fight. Or if it's just like your own life is facing so many struggles that you just don't have the energy to help anybody else or to care about anybody else because you are also struggling. And that's a thing, like another thing with the wellness community, and when we talk about like suicide and depression and things like that. I've seen things online where it's like shaming people for like, oh, if somebody comes to you with their problems and you like don't take the time to listen, then that's the worst thing you can do. And it's true, but it's not, because we all are carrying problems, and you don't know to what degree I'm carrying problems. So I could be putting on a brave face and I could be doing all I can just to make it through the day myself. I could be struggling so hard and you don't even know. And I'm just trying to smile and fake it till I make it and get through the day. And you might see that exterior and think, oh, she's got a good, balance in life, so she can handle it if I disclose all of my problems to her and she can help me. And it's like, I wish I could. I always wish I could. But sometimes I can't. Sometimes I cannot. And it's hard. And then it's like, I turn that the other way and I think, well, I have a lot going on and I need help, but I don't want to put this burden on anybody else. And or like, so when I was going through the difficult time that I was going through that I mentioned before, I also had a breakup of a long-term relationship, a 6-year relationship. So I had to learn to take care of myself. And then it was also this whole concept of, if the person that I've been with for 6 years can't be there for me through this, how can I expect anybody else to? So you learn, you pick up your feet and you just go through it. You don't necessarily, you don't look forward to it. But again, the Buddhism piece that I had already learned was all life is suffering. So if you can accept that, you can move through these challenging times on your own and just say, you know what? There's no sense fighting it or crying about it. It's just the way it is. All life is suffering. And that doesn't mean like that you don't cry about it or that I didn't cry about it. It's just that, yeah, I cried about it, but I also was able to make peace with it to an extent, at least. And that doesn't mean I can't also find happiness and peace even in times of suffering. And so one of the things I will say that I was struggling with was my mom being diagnosed with cancer. And then she did pass a couple years after her diagnosis. And through all of that, I was like, okay, this sucks, right? But I accepted from the start that it sucked. And other members of my family, I think, struggled with it because they wanted to not accept it. And I mean, I didn't want to accept it either. And I did whatever I could to try to help my mom. Like, there were herbal remedies that we were making for her. I did what I could. But I also, the whole time through, was like, this is happening. I can't deny that it's happening. There are possible bad outcomes. I can't deny that that's part of it. And it did help me navigate it in a way that others sometimes judge too, because they see that you're doing okay. They see, that you, sometimes when people see that you can accept that bad things happen, it's like, you're not suffering enough and I want to tear you down more. I want to make you at least feel bad for not feeling bad enough. And that's really not helpful to anyone. Yeah. So then the next lines, motherfucker, I'm resourceful, resilient. I power through the waves of disappointment. Maybe not quite thriving, but I'm buoyant. I am at peace these days. And then give or take a fit of blinding rage. And how relatable is that? It's like, look I am struggling. I am going through this. It is a challenging time, whatever your situation might be. But I'm doing what I can to get through it. Yeah, maybe I'm not thriving, but I'm here. I'm showing up. I'm going through the motions, at least faking it till I make it. And sometimes I might fall apart. That bit of blinding rage. Now, again, personally, I really can relate to this because also with my even taking on of Buddhist philosophies and meditation and all that, I compare myself to the Hulk because I'm constantly enraged and have been since I was a teenager and found out about all of the injustices in the world, or at least all of the ones that I know about. I am angry all the time. And so that line from the Hulk where he's like, what's your secret? I'm always angry. That's me. I'm always angry. And people are surprised by that, but it's like, look at what's going around in the world. Look at what's going on in the world. How are you not angry all the time? And so even since high school, I've been referred to by friends as a little ball of rage. But I mostly keep it in check. And I've learned to. I mean, obviously you evolve from being a teenager to now I'm a 40-year-old adult. You evolve, you take on strategies to get through it. So sometimes those strategies are more effective than others. And sometimes you just want to feel the rage. You just want to lean into it and embrace it and express it. And that's, I think, fair. And that's what Chris is expressing when he says, yeah, I'm at peace, I've accepted it, whatever. And then he's like, but that doesn't mean it doesn't make me so mad sometimes. And that can be personal things, but it can also be the world at large, of course, right? Because there's so much shit going on in the world. And then it's that question of, well, what can I do about it? And at what stage of milk spillage are we right now? Preemptive, like in the middle of it, or has it already happened? And where do we go from here? And sometimes I just get so mad. And yeah, that is life. No matter, we're all human. And so here's the point I think that I want to expand on from that. It's like, okay, yes, I picked up this strategy, this philosophy, whatever, that, life, you can't chase a happy life, you should chase a peaceful life. But as I went through my life with that strategy, it was like, yes, this is nice, 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 I guess. But I'm missing something. As I've gotten older, I've just realized that even though, yes, your goal can be a peaceful life, that doesn't mean you shouldn't experience your emotions. Your emotions serve a purpose. Like, we have emotions for a reason. We have reactions to things for a reason. That's your body telling you something's not okay, or something is great and you should have more of that in your life if it's something that does make you happy. So even though I have always touted this whole, happiness is not the goal, peace is, I think I missed a little bit of, well, to an extent, bringing in, like, how can I have the most happiness as well? Like, what will bring that in? And another piece of Buddhism that kind of had, directed that whole thing was, like, my approach of chasing peace was the, like, concept of non-attachment. And, there's the story of Siddhartha Gautama, who released all of his worldly possessions, his attachment to his family, and just went and wandered off. And that never sat right with me, actually, because not about the possessions, but just his connection to people. Because I'm like, okay, you're talking about non-attachment, but that is, like, soulless. Honestly, like, it's okay. And this is something I'm trying to rebuild in my life, I guess, to an extent. But like I said, I've done so with my friends. It's okay to get attached to people. It's okay to have affection for people and want them to be safe. It's okay to care. It's okay to feel happy. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to be mad at those same people. It's okay, because those direct things, and then they direct, like, actions you take, conversations you have, changes that you might need to make, or they might need to make, or you both might need to make. And you can't just say, well, I mean, you can. It's up to you. It's your life. But if you just say, this person upset me, life is too short, I only want to be happy, and you don't go through the whole gamut of human experience, I don't think you're going to find peace at the end of the day. I don't think cutting people out of your life and not trying to work through difficulties and not trying to face bad times and not embracing and appreciating good times, I don't think that's the road to peace. I think we should be trying to have as much joy and happiness in our lives. And it's something that I want for everyone. I want everyone to be able to have as much joy and happiness in their lives. And that's why at this day and age, it is so hard to find peace, because there's so much devastation going on in the world. And it's gotten so much worse even since this album was released. So, like, yeah, it's kind of ironic in that way, because bad things were happening when they released this album, but then things have been getting, like, exponentially worse too. Like, it's just more badness in more places on a grander scale every day, it seems like. So that's just fun, isn't it? And so I wonder if in Chris's writing, if when he's saying he's at peace, it's those moments of kind of detachment from all the things that are out of his control in that moment, personal and worldly. And I think from his writing, he takes on the world's problems, and it's beautiful. But also, he deserves moments, at least, of reprieve and moments of peace. I mean, we all do. We all deserve all kinds of moments of peace. And again, that's the frustrating part of the world right now, is that, like, how can we have peace when so many people are suffering? It's a challenge. It's a real thing. Anyway, after that, he says, I can't seem to shake the belief that there's a liminal state between death and rebirth in which you and me reconvene. Oh yes, I'm really fun at parties. Draw a dink on my face with a Sharpie. Excuse me, sir, this is an Arby's. I am at peace. And so evidently part of this is about where you lose someone in life, whether it's through death or the end of a relationship or just distance, maybe even. Who knows, right? We all go through these experiences where we're close with someone and then unfortunately for whatever reason life goes on and we don't maintain that proximity in whatever way you want to interpret the word. And that's a really hard thing to make peace with too. But he's saying he believes that one day, between death and rebirth, all those important people will be reunited with each other. You know, you'll get to see whoever it is you're missing or reminiscing about, and I think that's beautiful. But then the next parts where he goes, oh yes, I'm fun at parties, draw a dick on my face with a Sharpie, excuse me sir, this is an Arby's. Yeah, that's like the deep thinker at whatever event, and you're trying to get into the depths with other people, and they're like, we're just here to play ball hockey, man, or we're just here to grab some fast food at the Arby's, man, whatever, like, where you're just like your mind is constantly in this state of, or maybe not constantly, but goes to these states of like delving into these issues, and it's like the people around you maybe can't relate because they're just here to have a good time or whatever, or not take life so seriously. Those may be the people that are saying better them than me, and then they move on and they're fine and they're at peace because they don't care as much about others, maybe, you know, like all kinds of scenarios. But it's just that feeling of like almost loneliness or aloneness where you're saying, you know, oh, life is heavy, man, and other people are like, whoa, like chill out, like we don't have to go there. But again, that's like, what does peace mean to you? Does it mean not talking about these things, ignoring these things? Or does it mean solving it and getting to a point where we can all chill and not have to stress about these things? And then he says, yeah, I am at peace, though presently convulsed with grief, I am at peace. So again, that kind of is that idea of acceptance. It's like, I'm not happy. There's a difference between happiness and peace, but I can accept what's happened. I have done maybe all I could do about whatever situation or multiple situations, and I am at a place where I don't need to make things that are out of my control something that disturbs my peace, even if I'm sad about it. And then, yes, his final stanza. Some days I'm scared I'm going to die, or even worse, I might survive. I try to keep these words in mind. Nothing worth having comes without some kind of fight. Gotta kick at the darkness till it bleeds daylight. So obviously famous Bruce Cockburn quote there, also adopted by the Bare Naked Ladies when they covered his song Lovers in a Dangerous Time. It's a great line. It's a classic. It's at the heart of, yes, this song, obviously, and anyone who's struggled against depression, sadness, hard times, or this struggle even just to find peace. It's like, I'm not there, but I can't give up, because if I give up, the darkness wins. And if I don't give up, at least there's a chance that I might find that daylight, that happiness, that peace. So yeah, and of course saying, well, I don't know if it's better to live or die, you know? So some days I'm scared I'm going to die, but then again, I might survive. But you might survive, and the thought being like, I might survive and things are not good here. Things are not good and they might not get better, and I have to endure this. But then he reminds himself, tries to keep that line in mind. He has to kick the darkness till it bleeds daylight. And it's true. And sometimes that is the only thing that can keep you going. It's like, if you give up, you're going to lose. If you keep going, at least there's a chance to come out the other side of it in a better place. And I have to add this. I dabble in songwriting a little bit myself, although I'm not good at the music part. I mostly focus on the lyrics. And recently, but before this album was released, I had been thinking about that line a lot, and I was like, oh man, I gotta pull that line. Like, it hasn't been used for a while. That Bare Naked Ladies cover of the Bruce Cockburn song is pretty old now. I think it's time to bring that line out. And then Chris did it, and he did it so well, and it fits the song so perfectly. But what is also funny about this, to me, personal anecdote, is that at one point in high school, or maybe shortly after, one of my friends, who is also a very big Propaganda fan, had quoted that line on something somewhere online. Like, he pulled it out of his hat or his pocket, whatever, and posted it somewhere. And this was also a number of years ago now, like 20 years ago, maybe, I'm thinking. But even that stuck with me. I guess, like, he pulled it out and he was like, look at this line. I mean, he wasn't saying literally, look at this line, but he pulled it out and quoted it somewhere, and it was like, oh my God, yes. That is a great line. And again, he's a Propaganda fan, and then Propaganda used it, and then I was thinking of using it. And anyways, just that kind of great minds think alike piece, maybe, let's say. People who are thinking the same things along the same lines, that interpret the world in a lot of the same ways, probably. We're all reaching this point with the state of affairs, maybe, that at that time even, and again, things have gotten worse since this album came out, but even at that time, it was this thought of, like, things are kind of bad now, but we can't give up. And I hope that that's something that everyone carries with them, even as things continue on. And it is something that the Buddhist teaching of all life is suffering has helped me with. Even during COVID, during everything, it was like, let's just keep going, keep living, because all life is suffering, and see what happens. Like, it's not like, I guess the approach is, we're not going to escape the suffering part of life. It's a part of life. And if we can accept that, then maybe we can still have the other parts of life too, the joy. Yes, also the sadness. We can have the full gamut of the human experience, even in the dark times, until we can't anymore. And that is an individual thing at this point, until, or the whole world collapses. But it's like, each of us can continue just living as best as we can. That's all we can do sometimes. All we can do in the face of whatever is going on. And it is something, especially in the last year or so, that I've personally been struggling with a lot. It's like, you read about the further destruction that is happening in Palestine and now spreading to Lebanon, and what's happening in Iran, and what's been continually happening in these places as well, and then also the Congo, and like, it's just, the world is a disaster, and it really overwhelms me, and I don't know, but it is a feeling of like, am I doing enough? What can I be doing in these moments now to help other places in the world? And I look and I try and I think, and it's overwhelming. And then it's like, well, as long as I look into it, think about it, and take the actions that I think I reasonably can, I think I can make peace with my place in what's happening. That doesn't mean I'm okay with what's happening. But as long as I'm not shutting myself away and just calling my life okay because I'm not reading the news, like, that to me would not bring me peace. knowing what's happening, being ready to try to do something, and doing whatever I can reasonably will bring me peace. And that is an equation of multiple factors and what can I do that won't cause harm to people or beings that I love, but that will help other beings that are being targeted. And maybe that is sending money somewhere. Maybe that's just paying attention and witnessing it and not turning away. But I don't know. It's a question that each person can only answer for themselves, really. And I guess what it boils down to is like, what does kicking at the darkness mean to you? How can each of us do that in times like this? How can we keep doing it until we get to a better state of being?